President Donald Trump's Liberation Day tariffs have rattled global markets and spurred fears of a recession. But how will the backlash compare to past market turbulence? Here's a look back at the biggest financial crashes in U.S. history, starting with the Great Depression. The infamous Wall Street crash of October 1929 kicked off the worst financial crisis of the 20th century, plunging the U.S. into a depression that would last a decade. The dark period followed what was known as the Roaring Twenties and was characterized by mass poverty, a lack of industry, and widespread business collapses. By 1933, the U.S. unemployment rate had risen to 25%, while more than a third of all U.S. banks had gone out of business. After taking office the same year, newly elected President Franklin Delano Roosevelt enacted a bevy of aggressive economic policies to combat the economic crisis of confidence.
So first of all, let me assert my firm belief that the only thing we have to fear is fear itself.
The advent of World War II would also soon lead to increased government spending and decreased unemployment. During the Fourth Arab-Israeli War in 1973, the Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries, or OPEC, imposed an oil embargo against the United States and other countries in retaliation for providing military assistance to Israel. The result was a severe oil shortage that brought about high inflation, high unemployment, and a stock market crash. Between 1973 and the end of 1974, the Dow Jones Industrial Average lost over 45% of its value.
To be sure that there is enough oil to go around for the entire winter all over the country, it will be essential for all of us to live and work in lower temperatures. We must ask everyone to lower the thermostat in your home by at least 6 degrees.
Throughout the 70s, Americans were asked to cut back on essentials like heating, while gas station lines around the country stretched on for blocks as Americans waited hours just to fill up their tanks.
This is the second gas line this morning.
What happened at the first?
They ran out.
I've been in 2 gas lines already.
This morning?
This morning.
How long did you wait for the first
I've
one?
been in both lines over an hour, and I'm out of gas. Dead out.
Good evening. Today is Black Monday, the day the Dow dropped more than 500 points, the day the Dow dropped more than 22%, almost double the rate of the Black Monday that signaled the beginning of the crash of 1929.
On Monday, October 19, 1987, global markets crashed, with worldwide financial losses estimated at $1.71 trillion. What became known as Black Monday marked the largest single-day percentage decline in stock market history, as the Dow plunged a whopping 22.6%. Economists point to several potential causes for the shocking collapse, including fears that stocks were overvalued, trade deficits, and the advent of automated computer trading software, which continued to sell stocks even as the markets fell, exacerbating the slide.
People are very afraid that when they have profits or if they start seeing losses, and they all want to do the same thing at the same time. So moves that take months can end in weeks. It's just this very quickness of this is just stunning.
Throughout the late 1990s, speculation led to heavy investment in shares of internet service and technology companies. The tech buying frenzy created a so-called bubble that would go on to peak on March 10, 2000 before it popped. Between 1995 and 2000, the tech-dominated NASDAQ Composite Index grew 800%, only for investors to realize that many of the internet companies did not have sustainable business models. It lost 78% of its value by 2002.
In my country, it is important for our citizens to have understood that which affects Wall Street affects Main Street as well. And all of us recognize that this is a serious global crisis, and therefore requires a serious global response.
The 2008 global financial crisis, often dubbed the Great Recession, is often regarded as the most severe economic downturn since the Wall Street crash of 1929. Predatory lending practices and the collapse of a U.S. housing bubble resulted in a liquidity crisis for businesses, banks, and the general public.
It's always sad when something as big as this happens because the collateral damage is huge. It's not just about Lehman, it's about all the other players in the market. So, it's sad. They're an irreplaceable loss to Wall Street.
Roughly 8.7 million jobs were lost, and the Dow Jones Industrial Average fell by 53% between October 2007 and March 2009. In March 2020, the COVID pandemic shut down large swaths of the American business sector, impacting labor, trade, and the markets. Major stock indexes like the Dow and S&P 500 saw drops of up to 30% in February and March of 2020. Within 7 months of lockdowns, most of the world's advanced economies had fallen into a recession. It wasn't until April of 2022 that the GDP for most major economies returned to pre-pandemic levels. Despite U.S. markets nosediving in the days following President Trump's 2025 Liberation Day announcement, only time will tell if his tariff policy will continue to spook investors or, as the president has said, will make America, quote, far stronger, bigger, better, and more resilient than ever before.